Today, we're diving into a critical breakdown right at the heart of the federal government. It's a crisis that's affecting the retirement and, really, the livelihoods of tens of thousands of people who've spent their careers in public service. Let's get right into what's happening.
Just imagine this for a second. You dedicate your entire career to serving the country. You're looking forward to that well-earned retirement, but instead of getting your first pension check, you get a foreclosure notice. I mean, this isn't some made-up scenario. For a growing number of federal retirees, this is their new reality.
So first, let's just talk about the people who are caught in the middle of this bureaucratic nightmare. What does this delay actually mean for them, day to day?
Look at this number. We are not talking about a few weeks delay. Our source material is showing that the average person has to wait between 6 and 9 months just to get their first full pension payment. That's over half a year without the income they had planned on for their entire lives.
Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but they must be getting something in the meantime, right? And yeah, they are. They get something called interim pay. But here's the catch. As you can see, that interim pay is only about 60 to 80% of what their full pension should be. That means from day one of retirement, they are hit with an immediate 20 to 40% pay cut. For anyone on a fixed income, that kind of gap is it's a disaster. And that pension gap, it leads to these absolutely devastating real-world consequences. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. We're talking about people who served our country for decades, and now they're facing foreclosure, some are losing their homes, and in some cases, they're even losing their healthcare coverage while they're stuck in this awful waiting game.
You know, the individual stories are absolutely heartbreaking. But to really understand why this is a full-blown crisis, we need to zoom out and look at the sheer scale of it all. The numbers are just staggering.
As of early 2026, there were over 65,000. Let that sink in. 65,000 pending retirement applications. That's 65,000 people and their families stuck in limbo. And according to our source, that is a record high for the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM.
And here's what's so wild. This problem didn't just slowly build up over time. It exploded. The number of unprocessed claims shot up by an incredible 88% in just a matter of months. Between the fall of 2025 and early 2026. An 88% jump. That's not just a backlog, that is a system that is hitting its breaking point.
So, of course, this leads to the biggest question of all. Why? I mean, how does a system that's supposed to handle this fundamental promise of a federal pension suddenly just collapse like this? So what's the real trigger here? What's behind this massive, unprecedented mess? The source material we've looked at points to a very specific and, frankly, pretty surprising reason. At its core, the problem really boils down to manpower, or a lack of it. The OPM's Retirement Services Division, the actual people who process all these claims, they lost over 100 staff members. It's simple math, really. Fewer people means a much, much slower process.
So why did more than 100 people just leave? Well, according to the source material, these departures are tied to something called DOGE. Now, the document doesn't spell it out, but in government circles, that's widely understood to stand for the Departure of Government Employees Initiative. Basically, a recent buyout and early retirement program. The implication here is that this program, which was probably meant to streamline things, ended up having this huge unintended consequence. It gutted the very department responsible for processing retirements. We're just reporting what the material says, and it points right at this initiative.
Okay. So we've seen the human cost, the shocking numbers, and the reported cause of this mess. The last piece of the puzzle is, what happens now? Is anybody doing anything about this?
And the answer is yes, there is an official response. House Democrats have now deepened an investigation into all of these delays. So the pressure is definitely on to figure out the full scope of the problem and, you'd have to hope, find a solution for those 65,000 people who are still waiting. But when you strip away the bureaucracy, the numbers, the investigations, it all comes back to a much more fundamental question. Beyond all the noise, this whole crisis is really about something pretty simple, yet profound. How does a nation properly repay a lifetime of dedicated public service?